YouTube, there is no firearms in this video.
Welcome back to the Loki AirgunArchery YouTube channel. In this episode, we are going to talk about the Beeman Chief 2 O-ring failure issues. If we go back to October last year, I believe, I tried to go on a small hunt with the Beeman Chief 2, and I did get a ruffed grouse. Tell me, I'm French Canadian. Anyways, after getting my first partridge with this rifle, my first harvest with a PCP, I had a little issues with this magazine getting sloppy and ripping the O-ring off of the probe. The most annoying part about this is that I was aiming at a rabbit, which would have been my first rabbit with an air rifle. But also, I do not know if the last few pellet tests with this rifle had been, influenced by this magazine getting a bit sloppy. This is one of the known issues for this rifle, along with the ball jumping, which is not really an issue if you get good accuracy. How did dash even work? Wes at AirgunArcheryFun sent me another rifle with a gauntlet magazine, so we can try more things. The other one is a Woodstock and 2000 psi instead of 3000, so we will do a very complete review on this platform. Hopefully we can stop the O-ring issues with a Umarex gauntlet magazine, which Wes at AirgunArcheryFun sent me. But we also got a very nice care package from Maple Custom Products, who sent me 3 options for the Beeman, which does feel very good and smooth. This is insanely smooth, and I know how to work this one, and I'm not sure how to work this gauntlet magazine yet. Might need a tutorial for that. YouTube. Anyways, to make it short, out of 2 O-rings on the bolt/probe, one is gone. I highly suspect that this magazine caused this issue because it was getting very sloppy while I was hunting. I will talk a bit about O-ring replacement options, and then I will try to show you that it doesn't fit very well anymore. Let's do that. First, I do want to mention that the Beeman does come with a replacement O-ring, only one, but it is in there, and that's the one that I will be using after this. I dug my 1377 seal out to see if it was close to matching, but not really. I don't really know if a 1322 seal might be closer, but this 13771 one doesn't even seem close to the Beeman QB78.177 that I have there, so I don't really know. Please, if anybody knows the size of any O-rings that could help people fix their airguns, leave that in the comments down below. That was just to say that a 1322 seal probably won't work, but tell me the size, please. Then I dug out my good old Schmamazone O-ring kit to see if one in there was the same as the one supplied with the rifle, and not really. At least my Schmamazone kit came with this, and the 2 smaller ones could kind of work. I will suggest this one if this is what you got. By the way, this is inner diameter, so add 2mm to that if you want the outside diameter. So that will be a 5mm by 3mm inside, 1mm thickness. I believe that smaller is better, so I would probably try this one if I had to. But you can find those for pretty cheap on Amazon or whatever. Make sure to check out the Durometer. I'm bad at this. I did not, and I bought this, so that will work. But what I wanted to say is that this one is a tiny bit too small, and this one is tiny bit too big. The Beeman one is in the middle. To make it short, what you need is a 5.5mm outside diameter and 3.5 inside diameter O-ring with a 1mm thickness. So if you are looking for that, I got this info just for you. Please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, do whatever you can to help me help you. Thank you. Alright, so now it is time to find out if this issue made me miss this rabbit, or did I miss this rabbit? Who knows? I will try to run it under the chronograph real quick and see if it did lose velocity, gain velocity, because I will not lie, I changed my chronograph setup, and I've used this rifle to see if my lighting was good enough, and it was recording shots, and it shot hotter than it ever did with this tune with a O-ring delete. So let's find out together. I lost the magazine that I want to insert in there. Alright, so hopefully this stays in focus, but if I do cock that, you can see that there's only one O-ring out of two now. And this is a one-shot tray that came with the Beeman. It is fairly sturdy in there, only a little bit of play, and it does snap fairly well in there because I did not use it much, and it is not, you know, worn out. But this is the magazine that I've been using pretty much the whole time, and it did get very sloppy near the end. In fact, it did not even click. What the? It is done. Basically, this caused my issue 100%. What the? Like you can see, if I run the bolt, I do not touch the magazine, but this will mess up your O-rings. They do fit a lot better when new and has barely any slop, just like this one-shot tray. But this design is not really the best not to get messed up with a bit of use. I think both the Umeric style and Maple Custom style magazine fit better than the Alright, so I'm not going to lie, I had a little bit of issues off camera. The Gauntlet magazine fits really well. The Maple Custom extended magazine that I got sent fits really well. This one doesn't anymore at all, but this one that Maple sent me also doesn't seem to fit, which is weird. And his single shot tray also does work very well, and the Beeman stock magazine, when not worn out, also work. So I don't really know why this one doesn't work. Maybe it is for a different airgun and he sent me the wrong one, who knows. But I wanted to mention that. By the way, if you guys did not notice, this is an honest channel, and I will not be telling you about O-ring failures and magazines not fitting if I did not care about my subscribers and wanted only free products. Okay, I also got to roast the Swamp Deer scope that I got sent one day, but I just don't feel like it, so I don't do it. Okay. Alright, so we are back a few hours later. It is a bit colder in the basement than last summer when I did test this rifle at 8 turns on the hammer spring. I had a little bit of lighting issues with the Caldwell, so I had to repump this rifle. It is currently a little bit over 2400. I want to do a test shot before starting the proper group. Alright, so we got a reading. Let's start the actual group. Crossman 14.3 grain, only one seal. Now let's see if it is consistent, and if we did lose a bit of velocity, yet it doesn't look like it, but I guess that they got 2 O-rings on there for a reason. Let's see. By the way, I'm using the one-shot tray because it works. Alright, so this was 11 shots from around 2400 psi. I'm just a tiny bit over 1900 right now, which could make sense. So we got 958, 969. It did seem to have a little peak in pretty much all of the Chrony sheets that I've did at 2400, so that might explain it. But this is also 10 FPS faster than the fastest velocity in my previous test when I did tune it to 8 turns. So that's pretty interesting. The spread really doesn't look too bad, and it's pretty similar to what I got last time. It did start to fall down after the error, which was shot number 7. I might have been a little bit under 2400 if I compare to my last Chrony data sheet in the tuning video somewhere. It pretty much seemed more consistent at one point and less consistent at another, so I don't really know if we can get a conclusion from that. When I did try to set up my chronograph here, it is a Caldwell and it is really finicky with light, so I used this rifle to test it, not really caring about the numbers but more about if it did record the shots. But I got 972 and this thing peaked at 960, the most I've seen yet with this tune. So I was like, less O-ring, more velocity, but not really. I don't really know what to get from this test other than it doesn't seem to be leaking. Let's confirm this with a quick dry fire tissue test. That was barely any leak, if any. So it is leaking less than my 1377, a lot less. I need to take my 1377 apart, but that's another story. From 24 to just under 22, 5 shots. I believe this is a 1-inch target. I don't really know. Pretty good. Alright, so I shot 5 times, got it back up to 2400 psi. It is now time to install this tiny O-ring that is supplied with the Beeman. Some people told me to put some oil on it, some people told me not to, so I will probably do. I am using Super Lube silicone oil. Let's put some on the O-ring itself, I guess, and grease my ends at the same time. So it is all oily now, and I will try to slide that on there. This is pretty touchy to get in there if you have big fingers. I don't, and I'm having an hard time, so. I don't want to rip it off. Not too sure of what I could do different. Did it go on there? It did. I think we got it. Okay, so that was kind of hard and kind of easy all at once. I believe it got on there without twisting too much. Seems to be on there pretty nicely. I don't really know. Pretty much anybody should be able to do that. I will oil the 2 O-rings and try to clean that area a little bit while I'm there. I think it was about time. I will put a tiny bit of oil around this just because it might help the magazine and one-shot trays to not strip out this easily, but I don't really know if that's a good idea. Alright, so this thing is now nice and clean. It has a new O-ring in there, which should help, maybe, who knows. I will now put the one-shot tray back in there and see if it changed anything. What will be different for the next chronograph test is only the O-ring. I did pump it back to right around 2400 like it was before. Now let's see if it does change anything under the chronograph, and if it does change anything with the point of impact, even though if velocity did not change, I would not understand why, but science. Alright, so I'm a slight bit over 2400. I will shoot one just to see if the chronograph is working and then start the group just like last time. It did register, so let's start the group. Again, we are using Crossman 14.3 grains. Now we got 2 O-rings instead of 1 on the probe / bulb, and I don't really know if it will change anything. Caldwell. I'm pretty well aligned, pretty much the same lighting as last time. Hopefully we don't get a third error in a row, but we got 975, which is the most I got yet, so the O-ring delete did not make us gain velocity, I guess. Maybe it is more because of the temperature and stuff like that. I moved it a bit to the right. Hopefully it was an alignment problem. It was not. I'm almost at 2200. This test got messed up by my chronograph again. Yep. So let me pump this again before shooting about 10 and pumping it again. So thank you, Caldwell, for this shitty app and shitty lighting kit, I guess. Kit. $25 pumps later. Hopefully that will work because I'm about to give up. Okay, let's shoot another one to make sure before starting the group, because it fooled me after 2 last time. Alright, let's start the official group. We should be around 2400. I was a bit more over, but I shot 2 this time. I kind of shot 2 last time too, but it will be comparable, okay? You gotta be shitting me for real. I do not get it. Let's try again without doing anything because I'm pretty tired of pumping. It will be good enough. Hopefully we don't get any more errors and it is still comparable to the last one. Another error. Thank you, Caldwell. We are definitively getting lower on air than the last test, so we gotta consider this. The rifle seems to be right around 1900, about like last time. It is pretty hard to be precise with this kind of gauge, but you know, I believe we did waste a bit of air on the second group, so we got a lower average of 933 instead of 941. But we got slightly less standard deviation with 2 seals instead of 1. We got 16.9 with 2 seals and 17.4 with only 1 seal. I don't really know. It did seem to be a little bit more consistent with 2 seals, and we did get a hotter shot than I got last time while testing my chronograph, which does seem to mess up again. But yeah, the new peak that I got with this rifle at 8 turns on the hammer spring with 14.3 grains is now 975. It's used to be 960. I don't really know why. Maybe it is the temperature. I don't care. I will try to put some data on the screen while I'm rambling because I don't really know what to get from this. It did seem a bit more consistent with 2 O-rings, but it did seem a little slower with 2 O-rings, which is weird because why? Maybe it has something to do with the pressure not really being exactly the same, but tell me in the comments. Anyways, I will go shoot this at the other splatterburst target down there, around 5 shot from 2400 psi. I will pump again, thank you Caldwell, and then we will see if the point of impact is the same, and I will make a conclusion for you guys because this is a YouTube video. Thank you.
Seems to be around 2100, almost 22. Is that less air than last time? Who knows? It's pretty good!
A few days later, it is now time for an outro / conclusion. I believe that the O-ring did help to improve consistency and get a slightly better group, but I also was surprised that it did not make a bigger difference. I will keep saying that it did make me miss this rabbit that I was shooting at when the O-ring stuck in the magazine, because it makes me feel better, but I don't really know. Maybe that was just a bad shot in the brush, trees, and allness. It was an allness shot. The magazine design on this thing is clearly not the best, and I will mention that in the review. Sadly, I think your best option yet is to keep the one-shot tray and remove it only when you need to. The only thing that holds them in place is a tiny bit of plastic, and that's not really the best design. After this, I guess seals are pretty cheap, but that's kind of annoying. It is what it is though. I'm not sure of how much it will cost to get another Beeman magazine like this, but this one is pretty much done. It doesn't fit anymore in there. If you watch the video, you know. I guess the best thing you can do is try to lube your O-rings the best you can and hope for the best. But hopefully Maple custom magazines will help solve this issue, or the Gauntlet magazine. I did discover a fitment issue with some of the Maple magazines in this episode, and I did give him some feedback. He did tell me that he figured this out after sending me those magazines, and the ones that you guys will be able to buy will not have this problem, but you know, this is live testing in Canada. Anyways, if you want more Beeman Chief 2 content, subscribe to this channel and give a like, comment, and whatever, you know. Make sure to check out AirgunArcheryFun if you want anything airgun related in Canada, and I will see y'all in the next one.